Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today we're going to talk about 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 7, A Risky Business. So before I begin, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate that. Come join the family. Why not? I do all the 90 Day franchises over here, plus Married at First Sight and other entertainment things along the way as they come up. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and leave me your comments so I know what you think about this episode and these couples, and what do you think about The Other Way in general. I do think that this season is right about halfway over or just a little bit more. We're already on episode 7. There's not that many couples and not a whole lot going on. And I do know there's some surprises coming up along the way with one of the couples, but I won't drop any spoilers for you here. So, all right, I'm going to get started. So this episode is described as chaos ensues as James and Tathta tell her family they are staying in Indonesia. New couple Joanne and Sean, and I'll pull their picture in just a minute, plan to reveal that they have been married for 2 years, and Corona tells Ingi she's been holding her anger from him. So on today's episode, or it comes on Monday, streams on Tuesday. Hope you get a chance to watch the video. We have Statler and Dempsey. Statler moved to London, England to be with her girlfriend. James and Metalia or Tathta are in Indonesia, where her family's from. We have Ingi and Corona. Corona is from Pennsylvania. She's now in Iceland with Ingi. And new couple Joanne and Sean. Joanne is from New York and Sean is from Ireland. So, all right, here we go. Let's just start out with Statler and Dempsey. Nothing really occurred with them on this episode. It was just a quick, what's going to happen with their van life, because that's the whole reason why Statler moved to England to be with Dempsey. And so Statler was already in a Debbie Downer type mood when she flew over, because she's having anxiety about did she do the right thing and everything like that. But once she sees the van, at first she's like, oh, it's cool, but how are those tires going to hold the van up? Those tires look awfully small. And to be honest, they did look like they didn't belong on the van. But you know what? This is what they got. This is what they paid for. So until they can change those tires, this is your home. All right. So love it or not. So once Statler gets inside the van, and Dempsey does too, Dempsey says, oh, it looks like there's enough room for my stuff, and it's very roomy. It's better than I expected on the inside, so I can see myself living here. I'm like, what are your other options? Because you gave up your home in Texas to be in England with Dempsey to live the van life. It's not like you didn't know this in advance. All right, so here you go. Welcome home, Statler. While Dempsey is head over heels, because this is what she wanted, this van. She wanted her girl, and they're all together in one place, so they're going to make it work. They're going to go around to different countries and sightsee and just relax and live the van life. I hear van life is actually very popular on social media, so I'm not sure if Statler and Dempsey made it very long in the van, but this is their get started. All right, so let's move to James and Tathta. So back in Indonesia, James is learning the family business of the banana chips. There's a lot that goes into it. There's some that Tathta's mom and dad use. They have cheese on some, chocolate on some, just different type of varieties. But today, James is going to try his hand at making those banana chips because, hey, what else are you going to do while you're here to help the family business? And on top of that, being in the family business, we're not getting paid. And you knew that in advance too. So I don't know what all this pushback is for, especially when it comes to James and Metalia. So James is doing pretty good. He's learning the art of making the banana chips. And, he's and their standards a little heavy-handed on the cheese and the different topping. They're like, well, we're gonna have to charge a little bit more for this because more cheese, more money. Okay, because we can't give away stuff for free. And so Metalia's mom and dad are happy that one, Metalia's home because she's the youngest of six, and that she's home with James to help out around the business and just, to be back in Indonesia. Her mother said she missed her youngest child and was hoping that she would come back to help take care of her as she's getting older. It sounds like mom wants to retire, and it's part of their tradition where they're from Indonesia that the youngest child takes care of the parents as they age. So with Metalia being home, they're happy and carefree. But James is more apprehensive because he feels that Tathta is really not saying what needs to be said. That yes, we're living here, but can we make enough money to cover our expenses back in the States? Because they originally thought they was going to have $10,000 when they came to the States, but that didn't work out because their car broke down. So they had to use $8,000 of their savings, and they still owe $15,000 on the car. I'm like, what kind of car and what kind of loan did you have to still owe $15,000 unless it was new? But if it was new, it should have been under warranty where it took $8,000 from your nest egg. So something's not adding up here. But anyways, they have bills to pay back at home. And selling banana chips, one bag of 5 equals $1 in the Indonesian currency. And Jim was like, how are we going to cover our car payment of $700? I'm like, wow. So it was like $8,000 to fix it, $15,000 still left on the loan, and a $700 car payment. No. Selling banana chips is not going to get it in Indonesia. And on top of that, James don't know the language, so I don't know what else he could do to make money. All right. So as the banana making process goes and James is learning and everything, the next day occurs, and now James wants Tathta to tell the parents that, hey, yes, we're going to be living here, but I don't want to live here for free. So, let them know that, we need to be doing something else. And, what else can I do to make a living? So Tathta is telling her parents, but James noticed that she's telling her parents, but she's only translating things that he's saying. For example, he's talking to her to say, hey, we have things that we want to accomplish here in Indonesia. We don't want to live off you. So Tathta is saying that, but not adding her own 2 cents in. And James gets upset because he's like, well, we discussed this well in advance, and I don't really notice that you are really translating the correct way. So now Tathta is getting emotional because she's like, I didn't want to say everything right now, but yet last week's episode, Tathta was already gung-ho saying we need to tell them now. So now that it's come up in conversation, she's emotional. She's rethinking her thoughts. Like, she doesn't want to be a burden on her parents. She knows she's got things going on in the States. So when Tathta tries to translate what's going on, she breaks down in tears. But Tathta's dad says, you're not a burden to us. You're family. We love you. We will help you get out of debt. And Tathta's like, no, that's not what I want. Even James said it once Tathta was able to translate to him, that they want to stand on their own 2 feet. And then Tathta really breaks down in those emotions where she just can't take it anymore. And James doesn't know the language. I'm like, why wasn't the translator app on this whole time? So you can say whatever you want to say to her family, and they can say it back to you, and the app should translate it to, enough. And if there's anything missing, Tathta can intervene. But I guess that didn't dawn on anybody at the time, right? So now Tathta has broken down so bad that her mom gets up to hug her and just try to console her. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm a burden on you, even though I'm married. And the dad said, well, kiss your mom's feet, ask for forgiveness, and we'll go from there. So Tathta does that, and she's really, in her emotions, and, her mom is like holding her head down, kissing her feet and everything. And James is like, I don't know what is going on, but it's not what we talked about. So, all right, let's move to Ingi and Corona. So Corona's probably been there about 24 hours or so, maybe 2 days. And in the morning, it is a holiday in Iceland. Ingi describes it as like the equivalent of celebrating the lead up to Easter. So they celebrate the day with buns, or like maybe like hot crust buns. But these buns, which for me, see, buns in America, we think of like hamburger buns or cinnamon rolls or things like that, like a bun. But when I saw it at the cafe that they went to, it was more of a pastry that we would consider like a pastry filled with cream and jam, or just like a fancy croissant type with filled donut or pastry for us, but for them, they consider it a bun. So he's explaining the holiday to Corona. So they get up, like I mentioned, go to that cafe, and she's enjoying the buns and everything. And so Corona's telling him, and you know what, she has a different energy. She's like, yeah, I got an email about my nursing license, and I was supposed to go to Penn State. I got in for graduate school because she wants to be a midwife, and I turned that down to be here with you. And this is a quote. Corona said, if you had told me years ago that I would have turned down my dream school to be in Iceland with a white guy, I would have punched myself in the face. I'm like, girl, even if you do think like that, I mean, clearly she does because she said it out loud. You think that was the right thing to say to your boyfriend, someone that you moved in with, someone to around the world moved in with? Like, that was the right thing to say to make him feel comfortable about you being there? Because Ingi already feels that he doesn't know you, and Corona admitted that last episode that he only knows her as a party girl, but now wants to get to know her, as a relationship, like you're my man, I'm your woman type thing. That to me wasn't a good look, but that's her. Okay. So Ingi was like, yeah, okay. And so Corona's still talking. She's like, well, I'm nervous to see the email. And so she opens it up and she passed the nursing exam. And so Ingi said, oh, so maybe, you could take a semester off and then go back to Penn. She's like, no, just like that. No, like she's irritated. I mean, if you're going to be irritated with somebody, be irritated with yourself. She's like, that's not how it works. She goes, I gave up my life to come here for you. Once you're in grad school, you're in, but they only accept a certain amount of people every year, and I gave up my spot for you. I'm hoping that I could get into the university here, and Iceland hopefully has a midwife program. And so he's like, well, what if it doesn't? She's like, I don't know. I mean, girl, you should have thought that out. You know what I'm saying? Like, personally, if they only accept certain people per year and it took you 3-4 tries to get in and you're finally in, you should have went to midwife school and visited Ingi on semester breaks or whatever, because doing things backwards, like you hustling backwards for your education and what you want to do in life. For what exactly? Because then she tells Ingi that, we're in this relationship together, but to be honest, I've been soft relationshiping with you. And he's like, what? She goes, yeah, I've just been trying to be soft and be more patient and, to see where things would go. But at the same time, she said, I've been holding my tongue so I don't pop off on you. She goes, because you're not going to like me when I pop off. And Ingi said, well, if you do, I'll just do anything to try to make you laugh. She goes, that's not a good idea. I'm like, girl, is the cold getting to you? Are you starting to question your thoughts, your agenda in general, and then to present all this energy to Ingi? Girl, that's your fault that you came all the way to Iceland and put off your dream career. Moving on. Next couple, and finally, new couple alert. Joanne, 43, from New York, and Sean is 38 from Iceland. Listen, Sean is either MMA boxer or UFC fighter in Ireland. And he said he's not your typical Ireland guy. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He goes to the gym. He minds his business. He lives in a small town. But he has one kink, and that is an Italian-American MILF. I said, oh, you like a MILF? And if you don't want to know what a MILF is with an F, go ahead and Google it, okay? And so he said he likes when his girl Joanne says the word coffee and dog in her New York Italian accent. That was my best. I don't have the accent. I have the I'm from somewhere else, the West Coast, so it sounds different. But the thing is, it turns out they're more than boyfriend and girlfriend, because when we meet Joanne, she's at home with her boys. She tells us that she has a 18-year-old and 12-year-old sons who we meet. She apparently cannot cook. She burns meals, but she gives it a try. She is a natural born medium, into tarot cards, psychics, and she's a Reiki healer and a life coach. I'm like, girl, how are you a life coach if you haven't told anybody your surprise? Okay, so Sean and Joanne have been married for 2 years and nobody knows. How is that leading a life coach for someone else if you can't tell that you're married to give someone else advice? Like, how does A equal B? It don't. All right. So Joanne seems nice enough, and Sean seems nice enough as well. Joanne says she's into her kids. She will do anything for them. She was married at 18, divorced their dad after 11 years of marriage, and they have joint custody of the kids. But I'm like, your son is 18 now, so really there's no more custody. But I understood what she was saying. So bottom line, Joanne says that her kids are her whole world, and she wants nothing more for her kids to meet Sean, who they've met, over FaceTime or whatever. And Joanne and her boys are actually going to go to Ireland to meet him in person, but she's afraid to tell them that she's married. And she's also afraid to tell her mom. And she just wants the boys to get a good vibe of Sean first before she says anything. And I'm like, what do you mean first? They've already talked to him on the phone. They've already talked to him on FaceTime. They either vibe with Sean or they don't. So you already took the plunge and got married. So to take your children's how they feel into account, it's a little bit too late for that. But when we do see Joanne's boys, the oldest one for sure says he wants to see his mother happy, but he also wants to make sure that Sean treats his mom right at the same time. Now, Joanne also says that Sean has a little girl, and he's good looking, and he's got tattoos. I'm like, so what was really attracted to you with Sean? But Joanne did say, she said that Sean and her actually met because he pulled up her social media, found her, and wanted a reading. And so Joanne was like, for some reason, these readings didn't go like normal readings go. She goes, I just couldn't get a breakthrough. And after, talking from off and on, that led to taking trips over to Ireland and everything in between, they ended up hitting off and surprise, getting married. So we will see more next week about them. But before we do, Joanne and Sean have a FaceTime call, and they're talking about how do we explain or break the ice to everyone, at least her family, that they're married. And so Sean was saying something like, it was just a spur of the moment when you came to visit, and, we just didn't tell anybody. And then Joanne said, but how do we get past the 2 years? And I'm like, you can't. 2 years is too long to keep a secret like that. So, but anyways, that was the end of the episode. Next week, we're going to see James and Tathta, Indonesia. James isn't feeling it, living there, and is telling Tathta, he says, I don't think we'll be able to make it. Because listen, $1 per pack for those banana chips, plus our debts at home, just the car is not going to get it, right? Even though the dad did say he would help him out with debts and things like that, but you couldn't ask for any more debts. But, James is not here for all that. But Tathta said she doesn't care. She wants to stay at her parents' house. And James says, so does that mean you're abandoning your husband? And then Statler and Dempsey are having van life for real, okay? And so we'll see how far they get with that. And then Ingi takes Corona out to experience some Icelandic delicacies that he grew up on. And apparently Tathta doesn't like the taste and, spit it out. So I'm not sure what it was. We'll find out together next week. And finally, Joanne tells her family, her mom, and I'm not sure if it's a sister or aunt or somebody, that not only are they going to Iceland, but she's actually married. So Mom isn't too pleased with her about this, even at the age of 43. Keeping secrets like that is a lot to keep from your family. And on top of that, you are too grown to be keeping secrets. If you want to be married, be married. If they like your decision or not, you have to stick with that. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next time, everyone, live simply, be grateful.